Right, station number 4. The wall clock pictured to the left has a circumference of 300 centimeters. So the circumference is just the distance around, so that this, if you measured it all out, would be 300 centimeters. What I want to know is find the area of the whole clock. So this one, you have two different formulas for circles. One involves a circumference, and that formula is C is equal to 2 pi r, and r stands for the radius, or pi times diameter. And if you've already seen in the other stations, diameter is the same thing as 2 radius, so these are the same formula. The other formula, what you see here is this one asks for area. This formula doesn't involve area. There's a separate area formula, and that's area equals pi r squared. So, those are the two formulas you're going to need to work with, but there's not going to be one formula that's going to get it for you exactly. So I'm going to actually cross this one off only because I'm not going to deal with diameter because the question didn't. At least in this one, I have a radius in both formulas, so maybe those are the two I'd rather work with so they don't have to even involve the letter D here for diameter. So all I know is I need to find the area. I know what pi is. It's about 3.14. I need to figure out what r is because I don't have r from here. So if I looked at this formula, I do know what c is. I know what the number 2 is. I know what pi is. I can figure out what r is based on the fact that I have c, because r would be the only variable left. So if I could do that, I could figure out what r is, and then I could plug it in for this r to get my overall area. So that's what we're going to do. So, I'm going to look at this equation first and go from there. So the circumference, which I know is 300 centimeters, I'm going to say, okay, well then 300 is equal to 2 pi r, which is the same thing as circumference equals 2 pi r. Circumference is 300. So I can divide by 2 pi, and you can do this in one step or you can do it in two steps. I'm going to divide by 2 pi all in one step, but you could divide by pi and divide by 2 separately. But that would cancel out these, and I would get 300 divided by 2 pi equals r, which if you have a calculator, you can do 300 divided by, and I'm going to group 2 and pi, and you can use 3.14 if your calculator doesn't have the pi symbol. I'm going to group these together to make sure that I'm dividing by the quantity 2 pi. And that gives me 47.7464829. All right, I'm going to cut that off and say, about 47 point, I forgot what it was, 7, dot, because I'm going to want to keep those decimals as many as I can, equals r. Okay, and that dot doesn't tell me it's 7 repeating, so I don't want to confuse you with that. It just means that there's more decimals after the 7, which if I cut it off too soon, it's going to affect my final answer, so I'm going to keep it in there. So now that I know what r is, I can actually plug this number with all of its decimals into this r, and then I can square it, multiply it by pi, and then I would have my area. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, because area is pi times r, which we now know r is squared. So on my calculator, I know the area is pi times r, so times r, which I'm just going to do 47 point, I'm going to keep some of these decimals in there. So 74648. The more I keep, the more accurate my answer is going to be. So I'm just going to keep, 5, and I think I'll probably be okay. And then squared. So its area is pi r squared. And then if I did it that way, I'd get an answer of 7,161.97. So about 7,162. 162. Area, so it was radius squared, so it's inches times inches, so that's inches squared. And that would be your final answer.